like my head's a jigsaw, but I lost half the parts. You think I'm lazy, you think it's fake, but you don't feel the earthquakes my focus makes. ADHD isn't always shiny, no, it's not a game. It's not about glitter, not about fame. No, I can't try harder, stop telling me to. It's a storm I live with. What about you? What about you? I'm not broken, I'm just wired this way. You see.
There we go. I had to unmute myself. I forgot I muted that, so I didn't accidentally talk through that. So yes, today it's just gonna be me, which is fine. The guys are doing holiday stuff, and they wanted to take a break, which I totally understand. I was thinking about like reposting an old episode, but then I decided that never mind that. I'm gonna go ahead and do the show myself. And you know what I can do is, if people want to join in, I will open the lines over on Twitch. So if you go over to the Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/ADHP live, I will start the call-ins function on here, and you guys can jump in if you want. And there we go. And so today I'm not going to be doing any political stuff. I don't typically uh, come up with those stories. Those are usually Doug and Brandon that do that, and as a result, I respond to a lot of the stuff they talk about because when they're talking about these things, like okay, yeah, I can have a thought about that, but typically I don't look these things up. These are not things that I talk about on a regular basis. I don't know. I don't have the knowledge, the background that those two have as far as those people they talk about and the things they talk about. I usually respond to those things as a human and as someone who's like, okay, that's not okay. That's BS and whatever else. Um, so yeah, that's why it's just me today, and that's why there's a different intro. uh, you know, uh, So it's that's the song that was played was one of the songs that I created using the Suno website, suno.com, suno.com, to AI music creation. It's really cool for those who know how to make music but don't have instruments and probably the greatest singing voice. I don't think I have a singing voice at all. I have ideas though, so that's like any other AI thing. You can put in your prompts, the things you want to say, the topics you like, and it will create something for you. And that's where that song came from. It's essentially about um, when you hear people talking about, oh, everyone's a little ADHD or everyone's a little bit autistic. No, they're not. The average neurotypical person, you know, a standard human, um, doesn't have these kinds of ways of thinking. They don't think that way. They don't act that way. So if you feel like you identify with those things, chances are you're a little neurospicy, and that's okay. And it just means your brain is running on a different operating system than a neurotypical person. It's the difference between, Android and iOS or Windows and Macintosh. They both are fully acceptable in the world, um, but they just run differently. They look a little different, but they're also very similar. But yeah, and actually, I think a lot of times, um, because of the two different types of operating systems, sometimes people who are on one don't like the other, and vice versa, and that's kind of accurate when it comes to people who are neurotypical and neurodivergent. So, um, and I decided to call today the Toddcast because I've heard so many times from people when I say I do podcasting, and they go, "Oh, is it called the Toddcast?" I was like, "No, I don't." I've always thought that was uh, lazy, and I never wanted to use the Toddcast or Toddcast because it's I don't know. I never thought it was a funny thing. I never thought it was clever, but you know what? It's for a single episode, I can do that. It works, I guess. So this, and as you can see on screen here, if you're watching the live stream here on Twitch and Facebook and on YouTube, um, thanks to Stream Elements for allowing me to do that. And not that they gave me permission, I just used their software, and their software allowed me to connect to more than two streaming. So I think I have it figured out. I did a test yesterday or day before, and just wanted to see how everything worked, and I'm pretty sure everything's working good. Um, if you're watching on any of the platforms, let me know where you're at, and we can talk about like you know where you're from, that kind of stuff. Um, let's see here. Pretty much, I'm not going to be doing the news or like the Florida or not bits. I will, however, be doing, as you can see on the screen, what's geek this week, because there's things that I wanted to talk about this week, and they're definitely geeky. So let's take a peek here and see. Um, I don't think anybody's watching, but let me take a look over on Twitch. Nope, nobody's watching on Twitch. And I think uh, this would show me. Maybe it doesn't. The way this is a different setup. Same software, but the way it functions within the software is now different, because it used to be that it would show me if people are watching on Twitch and YouTube. Now it doesn't. It's because of the using Stream Elements, which it's that's a little bit a bummer for me. But overall, I think that's okay. Um, if someone's actually watching, feel free to say hello in the chat. I will see it from here. Let's see. Right. Oh, I remember what I was doing. I'm gonna pull up the Word doc or the Google Doc of things. I wanted to talk about, like, okay, I've been podcasting since 2013. My first ever podcast was a show that I did with a buddy of mine, where we just kind of like talked about whatever was what we saw on the internet that we thought was cool, and which was a lot of nerd stuff typically. And that show was called the 206 Geek or 206 Geek. Um, I still have the website, but it forwards to my online dashery store, which is basically T-shirts and whatever else. If you like that kind of stuff, you like nerd stuff, go ahead and check it out. Um, but and I've done two other podcasts, but I'm no longer a part of those shows. They are still active, so I don't really want to say their names because I helped build those podcasts, but for personal things, I stopped being a part of both of them for one reason or another. Um, if you're curious, you can send me a DM, and if I feel like that's something that you need to hear, or it's okay to tell you, I will let you know. But yeah, I've been podcasting a long time. I started off with just a laptop and um, a USB microphone, and I recorded on Audacity, which is a free recording software you can get for Windows and other operating systems. And then I migrated over to using. I used an iPad with an app, a podcast recording app called Backpack Studio, which I think is still available. I don't know how much support it still has, but the app is still available in the App Store last time I looked, which was about a year ago. Um, and it worked cool. It was basically it had a record function. It had a soundboard, so you can put sounds in it, and you can have preset things to you can tap the screen and it will play those sound bits, kind of like I have here. I can do that. You know, what is this other one? And then I have that one actually came from that app. That sound was one of the defaults. And then during the pandemic, when we got our stimulus checks, um, I got myself a recording device, a physical. It doesn't require me to have a computer to record with it. And oh shit! Speaking of recording, um, well, fuck it. I'll grab it off the stream. Um, I normally hit record on the board as well, which is a made by Zoom, ZOOM, and it's called the PodTrack P8. When I got it, it was fairly expensive. Now I think it's down to $200 or $300, which is still expensive, but not as expensive as it was when I bought mine. So, um, and then that board has 6 inputs for microphones, and it has a plug-in thing that I got for it that allows me to do Bluetooth connections to my phone, so I could do call-in stuff if I wanted. And it's really cool. It's the best, one of the best pieces of equipment I ever got. And then after I got that, I had to get myself some studio mics. Like this mic I have here, um, I got a couple years later. I have another studio mic that I got with the help of some friends, um, and that I used that for a while. But when I got this one, I upgraded, and I still have the other one. I just don't use it because I don't need 2 mics. I have it in case I ever have like a someone who wants to podcast that's in the same room as me, kind of thing. So I got all the equipment and stuff, and then well, this podcast started because Doug wanted a place to talk about what's going on in the world of politics within our country and what's going on with the current administration and all that. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm down for talking about stuff. That stuff was very serious and very heavy. And I was like, hey, have a suggestion. Let's do some entertainment news. I usually like to talk about nerdy stuff, so we can do like what's geek this week and talk about you know pod you know movies and TV shows and video games and all kinds of nerdy stuff. And that'll kind of lighten the mood towards the end of the show. And that's kind of how it started off with politics and then geek stuff. Is because he likes talking about politics. I will talk about politics. I don't necessarily like talking about politics, but then I said, "Hey, let's do the geek news and talk about fun, lighthearted stuff." And then that kind of because I felt that we were like not doing a full hour a lot of times because some of the stories were kind of short or just a mention and there wasn't a lot of discussion about it. I added the Florida or not because that was similar to a thing that was done on a local radio station here in Seattle. Um, and so I kind of like the idea of like finding stories that could be Florida Man, but then are not Florida Man. So I was like, it was kind of an idea of like, hey, let's also kind of like end the show on a light note. Um, yeah, so today I'm not doing that because it's just me. But what I am doing is I'm going to read a story off of, when I get to that part, I'm going to read a story about, off of Reddit, from the Am I the Asshole subreddit. And I'll talk about it and whatever else. So, some of the stories I have here today that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Gremlins 3 sets 2027 release date with Steven Spielberg and Chris Columbus on board. Um, and next story after that is going to be new Star Trek show finally completes the redemption of the Next Generation's most hated character. And I'll talk about that. And then I have a story about how I'm going to be ringing in the new year, or how I've been ringing in the new year the last 4 or 5 years, which is watching Star Wars. If you start the movie at a specific time at night, that night, the Death Star will explode at the stroke of midnight, and I'll talk about how you can do that and where you can find it. And then we got some Avengers Doomsday stories. I got 2 or 3 of those. Um, we got we have the first teaser trailer for it, which isn't very long. It's like maybe a minute and 10 seconds long, and it's just there's no words spoken on it. It's just music. But I will tell you what I'm seeing, and the other articles are basically about the other teaser trailers that came out after that because they released 2 or 3 of them in the last couple weeks since Christmas. And the last story I have here is we got an update about Marvel's Blade, which is the MCU version of Blade. And if you don't know who Blade is, look up Blade from 1998. It's the very first Marvel superhero movie that hit theaters, starring Wesley Snipes is the title character. Um, so yeah, let's get into this. All right. Still, all right. Do do do. Um, where'd I go? Oh, here we go. There. Should check. Nobody's watching. That's fine. Sucks. And yeah, it's probably because it's early in the day. Typically, when we do these, it's later on, like 4 or 5 o'clock. But I just I wanted to do it and get it over with. And all right, so the first story is Gremlins 3. Let's go ahead and pop that open here. And this is on Nerdist.com. Nerdist.com. Earlier in 2025, there was much speculation about that we would get a Gremlins 3 if Steven Spielberg approved its script. We are certainly deep into the age of robots, revivals, reimaginings, and existing franchises, and it seems to be working out for a few properties. Gremlins star Zach Galligan. I actually met him a couple years ago at a con, and I asked him about something, and I annoyed him. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Zach. I'll talk about that here in a minute. Even teased that the script was already done back in July of 2025. Well, he was telling the truth because, according to Deadline, the Gremlins 3 sequel is happening and is set to release for November 19th, 2027. This means the next film will come whopping 37 years after Gremlins 2, the new batch release date back in 1990. Chris Columbus will return as director uh, for Gremlins 3, which is just a working title, and produce the film. And yes, the great Steven Spielberg is on board as executive producer. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, I don't like that guy, made the announcement during a company's third quarter earnings call, saying that creatives really want to partner with them. That's all intriguing considering the company is apparently up for sale, but we will see what happens there. I don't know. So I think it was in 2023. I think it was a couple of years ago. I went to a local horror convention called Crypticon, and Zach was there along with Joe Dante. Both of them were there, kind of like represent Gremlins. And I walked up, and that was right around the time that the Gremlins animated series was available online for streaming. And I said, "So how come Howie's not doing Gizmo in the show?" And he looked at me like this question again, and he was visibly annoyed by me, and he goes, "Well, he's a busy man. He's plus we couldn't necessarily afford him." I'm like, "Oh, that sucks." I was like, and he goes, "Besides, no one else realized that wasn't him." And I go, "I'm sure I'm not the only one to realize that that wasn't Howie Mandel doing Gizmo, because I mean, he wasn't wrong. It sounded close enough for the average person who's probably hasn't seen the movie every year in the last decade for Christmas. Probably wouldn't recognize that it wasn't Howie doing the voice. It was close. It was very close, but it was enough that I recognized that it wasn't him. And when I looked online to find out it absolutely wasn't him, yeah. So I annoyed Zach, and then when I went to talk to Joe Dante, he was not amused because he was sitting right next to Zach when I asked him that question. And I didn't even ask Joe Dante why he thought that Grogu was a ripoff of Gremlins, because I know I was going to get into an argument with the director of Gremlins, and never mind the fact that Yoda, the character that Grogu is based on, came out in 1980 in Empire Strikes Back. 1980 is when that came out. So Gremlins didn't become a thing until 1984, 4 years after. So if anything, Gremlins definitely was inspired by Yoda because of the ears and the shape of the body and everything. And yeah, so he would have we both would have lost that argument, because I would have been kicked out, and he would have been annoyed by this neurospicy dude who's asking stupid questions. All right, next story I have here is new Star Trek show finally completes the redemption of the Next Generation's most hated character, and I had never understood why people were so against um, Wesley Crusher. But yeah, that's who they're talking about. Let's see here. Let's go back to this story here. So the Paramount's takeover, heralding a new era for Star Trek 2026, will see what could be some of the last releases of the old era. Even with a forward gaze, Star Trek's modern shows always look to the past and actively embrace their status with wider Trek lore, often while challenging that lore. This means being able to fix wrinkles, and in one very specific case, officially recalibrating the legacy of one of the most hated characters in the history of Star Trek. Again, I never understood why people hated Wesley Crusher. I was like, I'm the same age as Will Wheaton, give or take a month or two, right? So, um, I identified with Wesley. He was my in on the show. That's why I liked Next Generation over the original series. And and as I've gotten older, I've really become to really appreciate that show more and more, with interviews with Will and hearing stories about making the show, um, I never really understood why people hated Wesley. Um, and I still kind of think it's stupid, but whatever. All right, it goes on to say here, because 35 years after he left Next Generation's Season 4 final mission, Wesley Crusher is being honored in 2026 Starfleet Academy in a newly released scene courtesy of Star Trek's Instagram. From the upcoming Trek show, Crusher's name appears on the mural that celebrates past Starfleet officers and and pointed, pointedly appears as Holly Hunter's Captain Nala Ake mentions. I think I'm saying her name correctly. I'll find out when the show starts. Our greatest officers who went on to become legendary. Finally, Will Wheaton's Wesley is getting his dues. And while it may seem like empty fan service, oh, fuck that noise, there's good discussion to be had about his inclusion. I don't know, man. People who really dislike Wesley, I think, um, they dislike him. I think this is kind of like I'm trying to think from somebody else's perspective, and I don't know if I'm correct on this, but I think it's because the average person who hated Wesley Crusher was, and this is my perspective, so take it or leave it. I think those people are neurotypicals, and I think Wesley's character was very much neurospicy coded. Like he was exceedingly smart for his age, and you know he was very blunt in what he would say. So yeah, I think there was a very good possibility that at the very least he was ADHD, but I think there was also a very good possibility that Wesley was autistic. Um, I do know that Will has some neurospiciness. He's never said he's like any particular brand of neurospicy, but because of his anxieties and other like brain stuff that he's dealing with, I think there's a very good possibility that he's probably ADHD. But that's my perspective on it. I could be wrong. Um, I mean, he did. Wesley did come back, and spoilers if you haven't seen Picard, but he does come back in Picard, and you have to watch it to find out the context of how he comes back or why he comes back. But I liked what they did. I thought that was really cool. Um, I would have liked to have seen more of Wesley on the on those episodes, but what we got was cool. Okay. Um, go ahead and close these out so I don't accidentally click on them. Let's see. Still nobody watching, which is fine. It's okay, Todd. It's okay. I mean, to be honest, when I used to do the 206 Geek, I would I started doing live streams when I would record, and th- nobody ever watched those live streams. I think they got more views after the fact, which is cool. This is which is good. Let's see here. Next story. Oh yes. So as I said earlier, I every year for like the past 5 or 6 years. Actually, I think it was before I moved back to Washington. Um, so it was like 6 or 7 years ago. I discovered this thing. I don't remember where I found it. I think it was on. It was probably a TikTok or a reel on Instagram, and basically it showed a video of somebody watching Star Wars at this, and then at the stroke of midnight, it shows the Death Star exploding. I was like, that's really cool. I like that. It gave me something to look forward to at the end of the year. because I love Star Wars. I've been a Star Wars fan since I was, 6 or 7 years old back in the 70s. And so this website, which is rebelforceradio.com, if you just Google search for blow up the Death Star on New Year's Eve, you'll find it. That's the first thing that comes up. And it tells you exactly what time to start playing the movie in order for the Death Star to explode at the stroke of midnight. Now they've updated it since the last time I looked at it, because last time I looked at it they had the special edition DVD, they had the Blu-ray, and they think they had the digital. It didn't specify Disney Plus. It just said digital. But now it says Disney Plus Digital Edition, aka the McClunky Blu-ray disc, special edition DVD, and despecialized version. Now, if you're not familiar with despecialized, it is a fan edit of the original movie to remove all the special edition stuff, all the additional scenes, all the bullshit that people didn't ask for but got and was not really keen with, and I'm one of those people. I prefer the original theatrical release, and the specialized version is as close as you're going to get to you're going to get to the theatrical release without owning that specific DVD, which came out in I think 94, 95. Fox released a DVD that had both the theatrical release of the movie and the special edition. I bought those, and in the last 10 years, I lost those DVDs. And so I found the despecialized versions, which are very close to the theatrical release, except for it has upgraded graphics as far as like the special effects. They cleaned up the special effects. They added the stereo and the 5.1, but they didn't add like the Greedo shooting and then like Han replying, and it didn't add Jabba the Hutt. So and it also takes out the A New Hope in the crawl in Episode 4. In the original movie, it didn't say any of those things. It just had Star Wars at the top, and then it had the rest of the crawl. And they, from multiple sources, they were able to edit together as close as possible the theatrical release in DVD format. So it's is you know since since the release of the specialized version, they've come out with the um what do they call it? Hold on a second, let me pull it up real quick. I have it on my computer. There is a Blu-ray version. Oh, that's what it was called. It was called 4K. 4K 77, 4K 80, 4K 83. That's what those are called for the 4K version of Star Wars Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Each of those videos is about 30 to 35 gigabytes each. And it's again, it's like the despecialized version but in high definition in 4K. And I will be watching the despecialized version because I don't think the 4K version is the same amount of as far as the length, because every version of Star Wars is a little bit different as far as the length of the movie. That's why there's a different time signatures for each of those ones I mentioned. When you go to that website, it will say, so if you're watching it on Disney Plus, you're going to want to start the movie at 10 o'clock, 10:02 and 43 seconds. And then if you watch it off the Blu-ray, you're gonna want to start it at also, that one's in 43 seconds, and then the Blu-ray is 10 o'clock, 2 minutes, and 42 seconds. If you're watching this special edition DVD, you watch at 10 p.m., 10:02 p.m. and 48 seconds. And the despecialized version is at 10:05 p.m. and 38 seconds. And each of these, because of the the edits that were made in each of those versions, that's why you started at different times, because they've added or removed things in each of those versions, and so the exact moment that the Death Star explodes is at a different time. Um, and it does say here, remember your mileage may vary depending on your specific media player. Have a safe and happy new year from those guys at this website. Um, and basically how you do it as far as figuring out the seconds and the minutes and all that is they suggest going to the uh, the atomic clock website, so time.gov, and it will tell you exactly in seconds what time it is, and you can hit play on your player or streaming service or media player, depending on how you're watching it. For me, I'll be watching it on my computer, so it'll be a media player. So yeah, I and since this has become a thing, I think 2 years ago I discovered other people have done the same thing with other movies. I'm trying to remember what other movies there was that did this. Uh, 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 uh. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, here's one. This isn't the one I was thinking of, but this is how to sync up Back to the Future with the stroke of midnight. The lightning strike in Back to the Future with the stroke of midnight. And there's even a Reddit thread from last year. Have you timed a movie with the ringing in of the new year? Oh yes, the Thanos snap. Okay. Talking with friends, um, I learned back when the Infinity War was on Netflix, they timed it so that Thanos snapped occurred at the stroke of midnight. I'm planning on doing the timing of the New Year's Eve countdown from when Harry met Sally. Other movies I've heard of Forrest Gump's New Year's Party and Spider-Man 2's Pizza Time. That's awesome. I will go ahead and include this Reddit thread on the show description, as well as the one I saw for Back to the Future. Let's see, hold on. Boom. And back here, grab the. I think it's a YouTube video. Copy link address. Put it in the doc here. So if you guys want to do this, you can. And all right. So next story I have here is talking about Doomsday and Spider-Man's Brand New Day are 2026's most anticipated movies. I'll say they are. I don't know about you guys, but I am absolutely looking forward to both of these movies, and I'm looking forward to all the stuff that James Gunn is releasing this next year for the DC universe, DCU. But this is talking about the MCU's next couple movies. It says here, according to Google, Doomsday and Spider-Man's Brand New Day are the most anticipated movies. It says 2026 is shaping up to be a much bigger and, in many ways, far more exciting a more exciting year for movies. 2025 hasn't been bad per se, um, but with the likes of Avengers Doomsday, Spider Man Brand New Day, The Mandalorian and Grogu, and The Odyssey on the way, the new year can't get here any sooner. Um, Now we have a breakdown of the most searched 2026 movies on Google in the U.S. While not necessarily an indication of the level of success they'll find in theaters next year, but this does provide some insight into which future blockbusters are currently drawing the most interest. All right, so I'm going to skip these next couple paragraphs and just give you the list of movies that they have here. Number one on the list is Avengers Doomsday. Number two is Spider-Man Brand New Day. Number three is Toy Story 5. I didn't know there was a 5, but okay, cool. Scream 7 is number 4. Number 5 is Supergirl, the one that was in the end of Superman. Um, Number 6 is The Cat in a Hat, which I didn't know that was going to be a thing. And another Cat in a Hat. I wonder if that's animated or if it's live action again. Probably going to be animated, honestly. Number 7 on the list is The Masters of the Universe, the He-Man movie. So I'm looking forward to that, even though it has Jared Leto playing Skeletor. We'll get into that another time. Number 8 on the list is Street Fighter. I only found out this was a thing a couple days ago. Saw a couple images from on the set. Number 9 is The Odyssey, and number 10 is Wuthering Heights. I don't know what either one of those are about. I would imagine The Odyssey is from the book The Odyssey? I don't know. Wuthering Heights, I don't know. Does it say what these things are? I just skipped over it because I didn't want to read all those extra paragraphs. All right. It doesn't say. It does say this, though. Doomsday officially stars Chris Hemsworth, Anthony Mackie, Winston Duke, Tom Hiddleston, Sebastian Stan, Letitia Wright, Paul Rudd, and Robert Downey Jr. We all knew that, though. Wyatt Russell, Simu Liu, Tenak Hurta. I'm sorry. I probably mispronounced that. Florence Pugh, Danny Ramirez, David Harbour, Hannah John Kamen, and Louis Pullman all make their Avengers franchise debuts in the movie. The Fantastic Four, First Steps, leads Okay. We've already talked. Okay. Fantastic Four, First Steps leads Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Ebon Moss Baccarat, and Joseph Quinn to join them, as do X-Men franchise stars Kelsey Grammer, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Alan Cumming, Rebecca Romaine, James Marsden, and with Deadpool and Wolverine's Channing Tatum, Chris Evans, and India Rose Hemsworth are also. Michael Waldron is also working on the script. Cool, right on. I can't wait. All right, so next, I just have the teaser for for the movie. I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there, and then I can pull it up on screen, I think, right? I should be able to. Let's see. Yeah, scoot this back a little bit. I'm like really on top of the camera. Move the mic out a little bit. All right, there we go. Let's see here. It's add. All right. Let's see here. Getting this pulled up so I can show you guys. Here we go. And let me get back over there so I can hit play. Turn that down a little bit. Doesn't need to be so loud. I mean, we all know already who this is, but this is still pretty, like, what? Are you kidding me? What's going on? Why is he back? Because didn't he die? Keep in mind, folks, that, multiverse is a thing, and time travel is a thing, and in this universe. So, plus, this is probably, we're seeing what happened when he went back. This isn't like a new thing. This is just going back, seeing what he did when he went back. And it looks like Cap has a kid. That's cool. That's really cool. Steve Rogers will return in Avengers Doomsday. That is really cool. Alright, so let me get back over here. Wait, did I just play it without you guys seeing it? I hope I did play it. Oh well, I guess I'll find out here in a little bit. Either way, I showed clip, and the clip is in the description if you didn't get to see it here. So, let's see. What else? The other trailers that teased the other returns, like Hemsworth, it sounds like. Close that. So, one of the other stories I have here, and I think I already mentioned these spoilers, so, yeah. According to comicbookmovie.com, it says here, we recently learned that Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom won't get his own Avengers Doomsday teaser trailer. A surprise given his limited screen time in the MCU up until this point. Instead, it seems that the plan is to either put a spotlight on him in a future sneak peek, the first proper trailer perhaps, to keep Victor under wraps, not dissimilar to from Galactus in the Fantastic Four First Steps. The later option feels somewhat ill-advised, but Disney and Marvel Studios' approach to marketing Avengers Doomsday has been unique thus far, so we'll see. One set of characters who clearly won't be kept hidden are the X-Men it was reported this week that the X-Men will be the focus of the movie's third teaser, which will begin playing in theaters next week before Avatar: Fire and Ash. Now, Daniel Reitman has claimed to reveal that this Avengers Doomsday preview will feature Cyclops, played by James Marsden, Professor X, played by Sir Patrick Stewart, and Magneto, played by Sir Ian McKellen. Uh, and somebody else has added that Cyclops will be depicted shooting lasers. If this is intel is correct, the trailer may stick with the parent-child motif seen in the Steve Rogers and Thor teasers, especially as Scott Summers has often had complicated relationships with both of his mutant mentors on the page. Regardless of the content, seeing these three icons in comic accurate costumes will be nothing short of epic. I agree. Um, and then it goes on saying the same, like, this movie will include these actors, and I've already read off that list. Um, says here, Doomsday is set to be released on December 18th, 2026, and with the Avengers Secret War scheduled to arrive December 17th, 2027. So a full year after. Okay. All right. So what's the next story I have here? The last thing I have here for what's geek this week in today's episode is the story about Marvel's Blade gets new update after years of silence. I know I was really excited to see a new version of Blade. And then when we got an older version of Blade in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's awesome. And there was a line in that movie that made you think that, okay, maybe he's not done playing Blade. So hopefully that's what this article is going to tell us, is that Wesley Snipes is coming back again to play Blade. All right, let me get back to the article. It says, Marvel's Blade, a new video game based on the... What? I thought it was going to be a movie. Okay. A new video game based on the beloved Vampire Slayer has received a new update after being announced in 2023. The Marvel Universe has dominated movie theaters for the last 15 years. So for 15 years or so, thanks to mostly strong run across over 30 films. It took a bit for Marvel to figure out how to successfully make massive games as well, but they eventually got there. After years of decent movie tie-ins and occasional standouts, Marvel began working on working with the biggest developers in the industry to try and make a standalone game around these superheroes. Insomniac Games really kicked things off with its Spider-Man games, which are amazing. I had both Spider-Man and Miles Morales for the PS4 when I had that console. I don't have those games anymore because I don't have the console anymore. Although if I got a console again, I would have the games again because they were digital. So, anyways, but others have come along to make games around Guardians of the Galaxy and more. There are lots of heroes that fans want to see adapted. However, some of these often feel like pipe dreams. One that fans never thought they'd see anytime soon was Blade, the iconic Marvel hero that battles vampires and monsters. On paper, he seems like one of those characters that fans would try to match with really cool developer as a what if. But it never actually happens. However, it is happening. In 2023, it was confirmed that Dishonored developer Arcane Studios is working on a Blade video game. It was noted that this game was in early development but has was still very exciting for fans. I was hoping this was going to be about the movie, but I mean, I'm not disappointed about a game. Let's see this here. Marvel's Blade developer asks for patience from fans. 2 years later, we haven't heard all that much about it. There have been infrequent updates on Marvel's Blade for some time now, but some got concerned about the fate of the project earlier this summer. Xbox shut down studios and canceled multiple games, including the highly anticipated ones like Perfect Dark, and many feared Marvel's Blade would get axed. After all, these licensed projects are costly not only in terms of budget but also in revenue split with Disney. However, things are still moving over at Arcane. Nice. It says one of the co-creative directors at Arcane Lion confirmed uh, to a fan on Twitter that work continues on Marvel's Blade. He asked that fans be patient and realize there's a higher bar to clear, which they are aiming to do. I mean, if these guys do as well as the folks who gave us the Spider-Man games for PlayStation, um, 4, it's gonna be very very good, and I don't see a problem with it taking longer to get it here. Um, let's see. Pull back up the browser. Close that tab. That is it for the Geek This Week stuff. And now I'm going to talk about. I got this story I found on Reddit's "Am I the Asshole" subreddit, and I have some comments on this too. So this person asks, "Am I the asshole for quitting a debt on the spot? I'm 32 and it was my first date with a 27-year-old woman. It was a dinner at a patio style restaurant and was going well. I didn't like she put her phone on the table as soon as she arrived, but she wasn't checking it, so whatever. The issue was drinks and appetizers arrived, and I moved her phone to give the waitress some space. The recording app was running, and I reacted in shock. Why the fuck are you recording this? Then I stood up, paid, and went home. Wow, dude. Um, she is now calling me an asshole and abusive over social media. Her main point is that I left her when we had previously talked about giving her a ride back at home after the date. And also, rude as hell for raising my voice and using swear words, which, okay, I did, but it was a shocking experience, and I really think it was a natural reaction. Am I the asshole? Honestly, dude, I don't think you are. No, I mean, if I was to go on a date and find out that the person I was having such fun with was recording me the whole interaction, why? Why are you recording? I mean, are you gonna use this video to make me look stupid because I didn't take you to a nicer restaurant? Are you gonna use it to show this is how this is why you don't date guys like this, or any number of other negative things? But it also could have probably been used as this is why I like dating guys like this. This is why I like these kinds of guys. Could have been a positive thing too. But let's be real. If you're recording it for social media, you're not recording it for a positive reaction. You're not doing it for Because more often than not, anytime I've seen these style of videos on social media, it's always the guy is a dick or the guy was a terrible date, and why would you date a guy who would take you to a place like this? This is not acceptable. That kind of thing. Um, so the first comment I see here is NTA or not the asshole. You aren't her content. Recording your date is is a sign that she doesn't fully understand consent. If she was worried about her safety in a public space, why would she get in a car with you, alone with you? Yeah, good point. Another one is filming doesn't protect, it just documents. There's a subset of influencers who secretly film their dates to post to their social, often making fun of. Yeah, that's what I just was talking about. I suspect this is what she was doing. Yeah. And then there is an edit here. He does say to everyone asking, this happened in the greater Los Angeles area. I know California has a two-party consent state, is a two-part consent state, but as a brown Latino immigrant, I'd rather not have the police involved, especially not these days. Oh my God, dude, yes. Um, yeah, I can see why you didn't want to like pursue her legally, as far as didn't get consent to record this conversation, that kind of thing. But overall, it's a huge red flag if someone is like wanting to uh, use you as their content for their social media. Just don't fucking do that shit. I mean, I mean, going on dates can be can be anxiety causing. It can cause, uh, especially for someone who's like myself, who's neurodivergent. I would be super like concerned about how I'm coming across and making sure I'm not saying stupid shit and and worrying that maybe I'm not reacting properly or at all, or I missed something that they said because I was too hyper focused on you know giving them eye contact. Um, this is part of the reason why I haven't dated in a long time. Since I've been diagnosed with being neurospicy, I already had concerns about going on dates with people because I'm awkward and I don't want to be awkward. I try to be as lighthearted as I can. I try to be entertaining for people, and that doesn't always work out when your brain is like telling you, "Don't say that. That was dumb. Why would you do that?" That kind of thing. Um, that is it for today. I think. I I don't know if I'll be doing this again, as far as like a standalone, just me. It's possible, I guess. I might actually. Um, I might do other things. Uh, so here, let's do this. This is what I do when I'm playing video games on live streams. If you know on the on the scroll at the bottom of the screen, it shows my socials. If you want to follow me um, and see what kind of content I create by myself, feel free to go to my website, which is adhd.rocks or todd.adhd.rocks. That will take you to the same place. Um, all of my socials are there, and I'm most active on Twitter. Excuse me, not Twitter. Never Twitter. Um, TikTok. That's the one. The ones that start with T. Um, I'm most active on on TikTok, and I also sometimes post on Instagram, and I will occasionally post shorts on this YouTube channel if you're watching here on YouTube, but rare. More often than not, it's Instagram and TikTok, and I also am. am on Facebook as well, so you can follow me on any of those or all of those if you want. Um, so, um, so yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Thank you for watching. You know, I should have started later in the day. I probably would have had actual people watching. I probably should have posted, "Hey, I'm going live soon," and I didn't do that either. So, if you're watching this after this stream is done, thanks for watching this far into it, and I will see you guys next week with both Brandon and Doug, and we will be talking about our New Year's Eves, I'm sure, and other things that have been going on in the news. I know that I want to talk about um, some things, as far as politics and what's happening in the world right now. I just didn't want to talk about those things here today on this stream. So, all right, guys, you guys have a good day. I've been talking for an hour and 9 minutes, or almost hour and 10 minutes, and think anyhow. It says I'm recording. I hope it's recording. If it's not recording, I'm going to be very upset for talking for an hour. All right. Bye, everybody.
It's not about glitter, not about fame. No, I can't try hard to stop telling me to. It's a storm I live with. What about you? I forget what I'm saying before I even start. It's like my head's a jigsaw, but I lost half the parts. You think I'm lazy, you think it's fake, but you don't feel the earthquakes my focus makes. ADHD isn't always shiny, no, it's not a game. It's not about glitter.